Hi everybody, Joe Conroy, Certified Financial Planner. It's been a very difficult year to be a stock-based investor. It's coming off the heels of two really good years. Even with COVID, we got through that pretty quickly, but it's been a tough time to be a stock market investor. So let's talk about a few things that we find are encouraging for what could bring this market back up to where it was and beyond and get back on that growth path. Now, I'm not going to give you the cop-out financial advisor that I normally do and most good financial advisors do of if you wait 10 years and it could be 10, 12 months, maybe sooner, but I don't want to set false expectations. There's some really encouraging signs here, so let's just jump right into the first one. So number one is jobs. Now, we did just have a jobs report where unemployment did tick up slightly. So we were at 3.5% and now we're at 3.7%. Historically, still a fantastic number. Some analysts point to why there was an increase in unemployment because we do have a really strong job market. And if you're out there looking for a job, it probably hasn't been too difficult to find one. If you're a hiring manager, it's probably impossible to find people these days. So why would the unemployment number go up? Well, we had 800,000 new participants in the job market come into the system. And anyone that's ever looked for a job knows that once you enter the job market, you don't find something immediately and start the next day. So there's a little bit of a process. So I think that 3.5 to 3.7% number of unemployment going up is a little misleading. But in any event, we're under 4%. It's a really strong job market, and that's encouraging for the economy going forward. So number two, inflation. Inflation's a little bit of what got us into this mess, but it could be a reason for why the market starts to respond more favorably. More specifically, we need to see those inflation numbers come down. So let me go back a little bit and kind of go through some of the numbers really quickly. In 2021, we started in January inflation numbers of 1.4%. The Fed likes to keep the inflation numbers at around an equilibrium of 2%, so we're well within that. But by the time we finished 2021, inflation had gotten up to 7%, all right, way beyond. Now, revisionist history and hindsight's 2020, right? Maybe the Fed should have been doing something sooner. That's a story for a different day. It is what it is. Once we noticed that inflation had risen to a point where it kept going up, something had to be done. Inflation was kind of getting away from the Fed. They started increasing interest rates. So January, we were at 7.48% inflation. It peaked in June. The inflation number for June was 9%. That's unsustainable. And long term, if left unchecked, it would be not a good thing for the economy, which would also bleed into the market. So interest rates are going up. But anyway, the encouraging sign for inflation, right? So why are we excited about inflation? Because we saw numbers actually drop for the first time in a very long time from 9% to 8.5% in July. If we get a couple more of those numbers where we're dropping by 0.5%, again, remember, the market's very forward-looking. So it's not that we're happy about 8.5%. We're happy about that 0.5% drop, and if there's more in the future. The market wants to predict the future, right? So if we get a little bit more of a trend headed in the right way, decreasing inflation, that's going to be a good thing for stocks. They're going to trade ahead of it. So that's a second thing that we're encouraged about, hopefully continuing to drop inflation rates. So the last thing I want to talk about is politics. Literally, it's the last thing I want to talk about with most people, but it's the last topic here, and it is actually an encouraging sign. So what do politics have to do with the market? A lot of the times it has less to do than you might think. There's lots of studies out there, different combinations of presidencies. Anyway, let's get on task here. We're coming up to midterm elections. Now, what happens with midterm elections in the 12 months coming up to the November election cycle, it's kind of a topsy-turvy turmoil market environment. The average return's roughly 0%, looking back to 1960 in a midterm election cycle. Which means there's a lot of really negative years that can happen, and there have been, half are good, half are bad, right? That's the average. But what happens in the 12 months post-election cycle? Well, since 1960, I'm going to knock on wood here because I don't want to jinx it, every single 12-month period after a midterm election is positive. And not just a little positive, but the average is over 16%. Most 3-month post-election cycles are also positive, but if you stretch it to the 12 months, it's always positive. Again, knock on wood if they have some around. So, the 3 things that are encouraging as a stock market investor for the not so long-term future: we've got really strong job market, a lot of people are working, there's not much unemployment. We've got a little bit of a curb on inflation. It seems like those numbers are coming down. We hope that continues. And we've got midterm elections providing some clarity and certainty, and that is what the markets are really looking for. Now, left, right, that doesn't matter so much. We just need to know what the agenda is for the administration and Congress going forward, and then companies can plan accordingly and the market has some certainty that it looks for. So, those are 3 reasons why we're excited. If you have any questions, consult your qualified financial advisor. You can always give us a call. And as always, thank you for watching.